Right, hello everyone. So, gonna do something a bit different. I'll separate the each topic into its individual components, and I'll upload those as separate videos. I'll obviously carry on with the like hour and a half long segments where it's just the entirety of one subject, and I'll get less lazy. I'll put more of an effort into making the video chapters. So if you already sound in one part of a area of law, for example, then you can just skip to another part. You can just skip to another component of it. So like in contract, let's say if you're fine with offers and acceptance and you want to skip to frustration, then you have the necessary chapter in order to do that. So yeah, today we'll just do offer and acceptance. Obviously I'll outline contract law as a general concept. This isn't enough though for the section A. I'll do another video on all of the section A's. I'll probably do three separate videos, to be honest, because it's quite a lot of content nevertheless. But yeah, so contract and tort law are somewhat similar, but there are key distinguishes between them. Both refer to the laws of obligation and relationships. However, with contract law, you enter a contract every time you accept an offer with consideration. So tort law is obligations based on mainly social exchanges and things like that. So for example, if you have like duty of cares, for instance, with Stone and Dobinson, that's not necessarily a contract. Well, there can be a contract. So with negligence and medical negligence, with doctor-patient relationships, but let's say if you were to sign a contract there, but mainly it can be social exchanges as well. So in contract law, you're more locked in to an actual written piece that connects you to another party, and it's only you and that other party, whereas tort law can impact other people as well. um, so for example, if you look at duty of care with negligence, where with Borhill v Young, pretty sure with the motorbike case, no, McLaughlin v O'Brien, sorry, um, how the chain of events can be expanded to the immediate aftermath of events as well. It can be expanded to multiple people. It's not necessarily locked to a contract, is what I'm saying. Whilst tort law includes obligations, there are no written contracts for the most part, and there are some other obligations for relationships which gives rise to legal obligation. This applies globally to all members of society, except for things like occupiers' liability. Obviously, I'm not going to be held tortiously liable for occupiers' liability for somebody falling over and getting injured at Walmart, because I don't own Walmart, or like Tesco, for example, or Asda, or something like that. It's obviously relative and appropriate to the tort. So this applies globally to all members of society where the conditions are met. However, um, contract law only expands to those involved in the contract. A tort just refers to a civil wrong where there is damage to another, so harm or injury, that is actionable, resulting in tortious liability. A contract, on the other hand, refers to a legally binding agreement between two or more parties that have signed the contract. Contractual law more so enforces the keeping of promises and agreements, whereas tortious law more so tackles intentional acts or negligent acts which have caused damage. Despite this, there is a statute in both areas of law, such as the Consumer Rights Act 2015 and the Occupiers Liability Act. So obviously the CRA Act is in contract law, but the Occupiers Liability Act is tort law. So offers and acceptance. An offer refers to an invitation to form a contractual relationship with another person, which often comes in the form of a purchase. Thornton v. Shoe Lane Parking. The offer is made when the proprietor holds out the machine when it is ready to receive money. This must be clear in its terms, and the offeree has an opportunity to accept or decline the offer, therefore ending the contract. An invitation to treat is different from an offer, however, but it's an invitation to make an offer. So that's Fisher v. Bell. Case law. Pharmaceutical Society of GB and Boots. The offer was made by the customer at the point of sale, so obviously the contention was, is the display of medicine, is that an offer, is that an invitation to treat? Because in Fisher v. Bell, for example, there was a knife that was on display, and obviously it would be illegal to make an offer to sell that to somebody who's underage. Obviously, then the determining factor is if if that was then an offer, then it means that they would be criminally liable or contractually liable, but criminally liable for literally every single young teen or every single minor that walked past which tried to accept the offer or did accept the offer. So it was granted as an invitation to treat. So the point is essentially the customer is an invitation to treat because it's an invitation for the customer to make an offer for the shop to then accept that offer to complete the purchase of the item, in this case the knife. So offer was made by the customer at the point of sale. Carlo v. Carbolic smoke ball advertisements in this form class as a unilateral offer. So in this case, essentially there was a reward poster for Carbolic smoke ball which offered a reward to everybody who saw it. I can't remember the exact specifics of the case, but if you Google it, you'll be able to find it. And somebody tried redeeming it, but they tried to argue that it wasn't an offer. However, they met the conditions of the reward, obviously, and when they tried to redeem it, they were obviously denied. But the court stated that this was a unilateral offer. So if it was a bilateral offer, it would be two people. If it was a monolateral offer, it would be to one person. Unilateral offer just means essentially it's a global offer. It's to the entire world, because uni, same kind of prefix as universe, for example, universities, things like that. So, it's essentially it's an offer to the entire world, so they can't restrict who the offer is made to. So I'm pretty sure I've spelled that wrong. It's partridge, not patridge or patridge, but I'll have to verify that. So Partridge v. Crittenden, advertisements are an invitation to treat. Payne v. Cave, and the auctioneer is the invitation to treat, the offer is the holder, and the acceptance is when the hammer is struck. Offers. So Harvey v. Facey is a request for further information, is not an offer. So Gibson v. Manchester City Council, uncertain words make an offer a statement and not an offer. Ending an offer. To end an offer, you can make a counter offer, so that's Hyde v. Wrench, or you can revoke the offer, which is Dickinson v. Dodds and Byrne v. Van Tienhoven. This says that essentially the revocation must be communicated, and it's not communicated into effectively received. So for example, if somebody made me an offer for a purchase on Facebook Market, and then I said like I was intending and saying yes, and they was to revoke the offer, for example. If they then sent the message but I hadn't seen it, and then I used alternative means to accept the offer without looking at Facebook Market, for example, or something like that. If they sent it and it didn't send, for example, that's a better example. If they sent the message but it didn't send because their Wi-Fi cut out or something like that, the revocation has not been effectively communicated or has not been effectively received. So Routledge v. Grant, the offer can be revoked before the 6-week period in the scenario. Time limits can be surpassed, which essentially means if I give you a 6-week period, for instance, to revoke your offer, after that you can still revoke it. Like let's say if it's been like 3-4 months, you can still revoke it, because otherwise that's unreasonable. You have money to make, right? Because most of the time contracts like this, offers like this, is to make money. So rejection must be clear and decisive, so that's Stevenson v. McLean. A lapse of time, so lapse of time between the offer and the acceptance, it can either be fixed or will be passed in a reasonable time. Again, so if it's like 4 to 6 months later, then they have money to make, they can revoke the offer, things like that. Not necessarily revocation, but I suppose it will be revocation, but lapse of time is the, I guess, technical phrase for it. So it will be passed in a reasonable time. That's Ramsgate Hotel. So for example, again, if I was to put like if I wanted to buy a car, for example, and somebody made an offer and then I didn't respond until like 7 months later and they sold it, I couldn't then try and sue them because it's been 7 entire months. It's unreasonable. So death, if the offeree dies and then the contract ends. If the offerer dies, acceptance can still take place until the offeree learns of the offerer's death, unless the contract relied on the skills of the offerer. Again, I'd pause this. I don't know why I said it again. I didn't even say that, but Yeah, if I'm going a little bit too fast, then you could just pause it, take your time with it. So acceptance, the online definition, if you want to get the actual definition, acceptance refers to the compliance with the terms of an offer stipulated by another. That's a solid definition. That if you don't want a like personalized definition, I suppose I'd use that. My definition is the explicit acknowledgement, compliance, and agreement of an offeree that they would like to fulfill the offer made by the offerer to start a contract. In my definitions, I like to be more thorough and try and fill all grounds, I suppose. But I think both definitions are fine. But if you want to be very specific, then I'd use mine. Because in law, it's never over the top, because every definition ever is insanely long, except for murder. Even the definition that you learn is an abbreviated definition. So yeah, so this must be positive, unqualified, and unequivocal, with all terms accepted exactly as written. This must mirror the offer exactly, so that's Jones v. Daniel. The method of acceptance may be stipulated by the offerer, but it does not have to be strictly followed if it is merely directive. That's Yates v. Pullen, or Pulline, however you say it. So silence cannot be a method of acceptance. That's Feldhaus v. Bradley. Contracts can be accepted in terms of conduct by doing your part of the contract. An offer is accepted once the letter is sent, not received. That's Adams v. Lindsall. However, other common law states that the contract has ended once effective communication is made, so once it's received. A letter of acceptance lost in the post are still contracts the moment the letter of acceptance is sent. So that's Household Fire Insurance v. Brandt. Brinkybon v. Stagel states that messages are only effective once the office reopens if it's sent outside of office hours. So if I send a letter to the office, or if I send a message or something like that, a method of communication, I assume it expands to letters as well, because I assume that's kind of not the mischief, I suppose, but that's the takeaway. If I was to send a message or a communication outside of office hours, then it's unfair for the offer to be confirmed accepted, because how can they possibly receive it? But you'll have to verify whether that extends to letters or not with a legal practitioner, a teacher, or something like that. So so that's offers done. I'll do the rest and I'll compile them, and then I'll make a full I'll make a full video of just all of contract law. I'll try to pump these out one at a time, and so thanks for watching.